our next speaker has a hashtag called Community Queen. Margot is definitely a community queen, has been involved in many charitable organizations and wears many hats. I first met Margot at an event at the Riverside Community Center in November 2018, whereby it was called the West Berkshire World Food Day. It was run by the council and with other different organizations. And we definitely at that event saw the diversity in West Berkshire through food. I mean, honestly, the food was amazing. So without any delays, ladies and gentlemen, to the virtual floor of Margot Payne.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. I'm going to try and share my screen, but I'm absolutely rubbish at technology, so bear with me. I'll see how I get on. Fingers crossed this is working. Are you seeing anything yet?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's a relief. So I can perhaps start the slideshow. Fingers crossed that will also work. Let's try that. Yes, brilliant. Okay. So, hi, I'm Margot. Really just to share a little bit about me and being in West Berkshire. I moved to West Berkshire when I was 7. I'm Anglo-Irish, I come from Manchester, and when I was 7 I moved to Compton. And we lived in Compton till I was 15, and my father had enough driving me into Newbury to meet all my friends because I was at the girls' grammar school at the time. So we moved to Newbury, and I've been in Newbury ever since. I married a local boy who was also born in Newbury, had 2 children, went to Newbury schools. One of them now lives in Kintbury with his family, Matthew, and the other one is in Taiwan, as he married a beautiful Taiwanese girl, my darling's daughter-in-law, Sue. Then they have just had a baby. You can see a picture of Ethan at the bottom, who's 7 months old. I miss them terribly because they're in Taiwan, and I'm hoping they'll come back before Christmas, but with all that's going on COVID-wise, unfortunately, they're a long way away. I was a councillor for 4 years and very, very honoured in my last year to be Mayor of Newbury. When I finished being Mayor, I was asked if I would be a trustee of a couple of charities. So I am a trustee of the Fairclose Centre and of the VCWB, the Volunteer Centre West Berkshire. I'm also a member of Newbury Lions, which does great work in supporting the community. And I'm a member of Newbury Twin Towns Association because I'm a very keen European and want to keep connected with all our European friends across after Brexit. We won't go Brexit, I promise. I want to talk about community and the importance of community and volunteering. It covers and it can integrate all strands of society together. The term ethnic is synonymous with being white and non-Westerns. If you say, oh, somebody's ethnic, you immediately don't think of a white or a non-white person. But it's important to remember that we are all ethnic. We all have our own ethnicity. That's a hard word to say. I've had to practice that one. And it covers all our community in West Berkshire. Having a Taiwanese daughter-in-law, I've been very much aware of how we have some ethnicities are reliant on familiar support across the board. They don't tend to go out of their home to look for support, for help, and it can be really difficult. But imagine if you move away from your family hub, even if it's just a few miles or if it's across a continent, you may suddenly feel really isolated. And again, speaking from experience with my daughter-in-law, when she moved to London from Taiwan, how difficult she found it to ask for help outside her family circle. She was almost ashamed to ask for help. Being open to advice from outside of your own community can be really difficult. And there's often a history of mistrust and sometimes long-term suspicion between ethnic groups. And our own traditional ways may appear alien to others, and of course vice versa. And it's really easy to put up barriers. And we often view the world from a perspective that our own particular ethnic group gives us. And I'd like to sort of say, the more willing we are to share, the more willing we are to be open, and the more we learn, the smaller these barriers become. There are ways of doing this. There are many social media groups, such as Facebook, with specific cultural groups on, and they are a great asset. But you need to look out into the community that you've moved into, and accessing the community can, of course, start with a small social gathering. It can just be perhaps you starting or attending a coffee morning. One for young mums is a great one to start with. It's a great way of sharing knowledge, not only your knowledge, but gaining knowledge, sharing knowledge of your own culture and learning about other people. If you're someone who runs a group like that, why not think about inviting people from other organisations to come and share a coffee and talk about what they're doing in the community? I attended a few, a particularly good one, which was a coffee morning that was organised for young mums on a regular basis. And they would have people from different organisations come in and share with these mums. Now, the mums were basically from one ethnic group, but the visitors that came were from a variety of communities across West Berkshire, and it was fantastic seeing that sharing going on. This can also work at the other end of the scale. We have a lot of senior citizens in West Berkshire, and they can feel really isolated, and they may not have the ability to be able to travel distances to get somewhere. One of the ways we can help is our community centres in West Berkshire can perhaps organise senior citizens get together with volunteer drivers that can bring them in to give them a couple of hours. Doesn't have to be of one particular ethnic group. It would be much nicer if it's a mix, but it's important that they can perhaps meet with their own generations and take it further, maybe mixing generations. I have witnessed lots of care homes inviting mums and toddlers in, or a local nursery into their care home a couple of times a week to spend an hour with the senior citizens. I've watched the joy on the elderly people's faces when the little 2- and 3-year-olds have been running around, playing, coming up to them, sharing things, and it's really successful, I must say. So, sort of, as well as accessing community events yourself, why not think about actually volunteering? This is an amazing way to get involved in the community. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing tonight. I like to get involved in the community. I like to see what I can give, but I'm selfish. I like to get back from my community volunteering and my sharing. It has to be a two-way process. There are many organisations that need volunteers, and one of the best ways to start is by going to the volunteer centre at West Berkshire. This place is amazing. It has an incredible database with dozens and dozens of charities and organisations who are always looking for help, always looking for people with a specific skill, or just people willing to roll up their sleeves and get stuck in, so to speak. So, you know, take a note of the website, please. If you want to do some volunteering, that's your first port of call. There are so many different ones to choose from. You might find something as simple as being able to speak another language is a massive asset to other other organisations. If people from ethnic minorities are struggling accessing these organisations, it could be they're struggling understanding just a basic conversation, or maybe they've got leaflets from these organisations. A great way for you to support is to offer your services as a translator. Or of course, you could think about literally joining Community United and seeing in some way that we can help share more integration with the different communities through Community United. Likewise, you might have something to share in your culture other than translation. For example, and Alice has already alluded to it, the fantastic World Food Day we have. Get a group together, get them to share a culinary experience, offer to teach others. Why don't you get people to come in and show you how to teach a dish, and then sort of like a ripple in a pond, spread it, spread it, spread it, organise a taster session, end up having a fantastic World Food Day. I hope we have another one soon, because it was amazingly successful on loads of stratas. Apart from having a wonderful time tasting magnificent food, we got to meet, I don't know, I lost count of the different cultures that were there. It must have been, I don't know, 10, 15, maybe more than that. It was amazing. I have to go on to say, finally, that my other hat is as a trustee of Fair Close Centre, which is run by Age Concern and supports our senior citizens. at the moment with the coronavirus, we have stepped up from being a 5-day week Meals on Wheels and restaurant to a 7-day-a-week Meals on Wheels. And we're always on the lookout for help. We're always looking out for volunteer drivers. They're fantastic. We need people to come in that have skills within their culture to share with these elderly people. We need musicians, we need crafters. We're looking for people for volunteering in Men in Sheds. That's a very strange title, and believe me, it doesn't mean it's just a little wooden hut out in the garden. It's actually a proper room. But it's funny how an awful lot of crafting and skill things are aimed at ladies. There's not that much for chaps. And the Men in Sheds is basically giving men an opportunity to get together. They might do some woodwork or metal work, or just generally, that's terribly sexist to say that's just man's things, but the elderly citizens particularly, we don't do enough for men. We need help in the Centre Cafe. Befriending is vitally important. Across the board, befriending is important, but particularly befriending our senior citizens. The one thing I'd like to say is get out there, help in the community. Don't be shy. Don't be shy of asking for help too. Don't be shy of going to organisations and say you need support. If you need a babysitter and you can't get your family, and so many people rely on their family, there are safe and secure babysitting organisations that can help. Don't be afraid to take that first step. It really is important. And finally, the more we share with each other, the more we learn about each other. And the more we learn, the more we understand. And that's, to me, the vital thing of integration and community. I hope that's been of some interest to you, so thank you. Thanks, Alice.
Thank you. Thank you, Margot. Before